Hello out there in YouTube land.
Welcome back.
So today we thought we would talk about the movies that we find like most comforting when we're sick or just depressed or whatever you want to call
Had a
it.
bad day, or you know what? Just don't feel like getting out of my pajamas.
Yeah, or
I do that.
sometimes they actually make us kind of happy.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll get into it.
Yeah, so one of my more recent go-tos is actually The Conjuring. I put that on, even as background or just when I'm just having that sort of day. And
What part about it do you think makes it like a happy or comforting movie for you?
I don't know that it's so much, honestly, what really gets me a little bit more relaxed is the soundtrack to it in the beginning. And then kind of the aspect of the demonic losing the battle in this one, but not particularly. So you have all these different aspects of, the witchcraft, the demonic, the fight against evil, and just the realization that, you know what, at the end of it, your family is what brings you out of the dark.
One of my big comfort movies has always been The Shining with Jack Nicholson. I'm honestly not sure if it's because of the snow and the cold, or if it's just there's some sort of love for me watching Jack Nicholson just be a complete crazy nut trying to hack people with an axe. There's just every single part of that film I love. I love the look of the hotel. I love Scatman Carruthers and the way he comforts little Danny. There's just so many good parts to that film that it holds a special love in my heart.
Yeah. And I can say the Stanley.
Yeah.
Awesome place. Definitely recommend seeing that. One of my others, and this kind of harkens back to my younger years, and it kind of, came through for me, was The Lost Boys. And it's just kind of one of those rebellious teenage,
Yes.
when you need to have that little pick-me-up.
And you can't forget the white dog, Thorn!
Yeah!
A more recent kind of like comfort movie to me is World War Z. And there's part of it in my head, I think, that like every time I watch it, I have the flu. And the reason I watch it every time I have the flu is that in my head, at least I'm not turning into a zombie. At least this is not part of the zombie apocalypse. I might have the flu, but it's not that bad.
I've always liked it just for... It's not just people running around, oh my god, it's a zombie, it's trying to eat me. It's legitimately looking at it from a scientific standpoint, from we're going to fight this and we're going to survive it. So, one of mine that's more hallmarky, I guess you could say, is Practical Magic. And that was one of the first films that came out that really talked about, kind of the Salem witch vibe, but also Wicca, things like that. And it was just a really pretty story and film, and I would kill for that greenhouse.
I think probably most people would that's seen that film.
Yeah.
Another kind of happy movie for me is Queen of the Damned with Stuart Townsend. And part of that is because I thought Stuart Townsend did such an excellent job as Lestat.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of Lestat. Anyone that knows me knows that I will talk and wax poetic about Lestat for eons. But that film in particular, while, some of the effects are kind of cheesy and they got some of the characterization wrong, on the other hand, there are moments of kind of a smart-assy humor that I can totally get behind. And then the soundtrack is just phenomenal.
Yes.
It is the epitome of early 2000s Gothic heavy metal rock. I mean, it's a great...
I absolutely love when Marius comes in at
Yes.
the very end. He's like, David. I'm like, that's the voice that's like, I'm going to screw with you.
Yes. It's
Let's
great.
have fun. And then we come to something that we both like. It's Nightbreed.
And, you know, if you haven't seen this wonderful film, it's based on Clive Barker's novel Cabal.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about a man who keeps having these really strange nightmares about monsters. And he's afraid of them, not because he feels himself threatened, but because he associates with the monsters. He thinks there's
Right.
something wrong with him because he feels in these dreams that because he feels empathy towards the monsters, there's something wrong with him, when in reality the monsters are actually kind of the good guys and it's the humans that are the
Right.
bad guys. And the makeup that is done in that film is just
It's astounding. The
absolutely
character
amazing.
builds, everything.
And a couple years ago, they finally had released the director's cut because when Nightbreed came out in 1990, Clive Barker had the issue with the movie studio wanting a straight horror film.
Yeah.
And then if you've ever read the Book of Cabal, it's actually not a horror novel. There are monsters in it, yes, but it's more of a kind of thriller with a serial killer combined with a doomed love story between Boone, the main character, and the lady he loves, and he's supernatural, he's not human, and she is, and he doesn't want to endanger her by bringing her into this world. And so it's all these things mired together into a fairy tale almost. And so the movie studio wanted a straight horror film. So they made him cut the film so that it was more of a straight horror film. And the director's cut actually adds back in more of those fantasy elements.
Right.
And so I highly recommend watching both because I fell in love with the movie watching the horror film to begin with.
Right.
Which, in my opinion, isn't all that horror because I love monsters anyway and, you know,
Right.
the whole thing there. But both tell the same but different story. And so I think it's an important film to watch both the original cut that was released and the director's cut.
I like them both.
I know
And
I'm
I think
nerdy there
just,
getting into...
I think for me, like, what defines a comfort movie is something that feels some sort of, like, spark of inspiration. Whether it's The Conjuring, it's kind of a go-to, creepy, you know, ghost hunting vibe, to World War Z that's like, you know, we're gonna fight to survive. That's what I look for in a comfort movie. So.
And, you know, there's a couple obscure movies that I'll talk about a little bit. One was a made-for-TV movie with David Naughton, who was known for being in American Werewolf in London. And he was also the Dr. Pepper guy back in the 70s.
Yeah.
But Desire the Vampire has this vampire that turns into a big cat.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just really a neat little vampire film. And so I had managed to tape it on VHS off TV a long, long time ago, back when you could do that type of thing. And to my knowledge, it's never been officially released or anything on disc or anything. But it's a neat little film, so if you ever catch it on a streaming service or something, I recommend it. The other one is a kind of kitschy horror comedy called My Best Friend is a Vampire. And it has Robert Sean Leonard, who was in Dead Poets Society.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really just a quirky teenage vampire movie. And it has kind of this, you know, lovey-dovey vibe to it and stuff. And, you know, the vampire doesn't want to hurt his best friend and doesn't. And
Right.
they try and go out and try and pick up women and stuff. And it's just hilarious and goofy. And it's enough of the type of thing to just kind of put you in a good mood when you're feeling like crap.
Yeah. So, comment below, what's your favorite comfort movie? And it doesn't have to be a horror genre, it doesn't have to be zombies, it can be a Hallmark movie.
Yeah.
We don't care.
We would just like to know because we want to get to know you the way you're getting to know us.
Right.
We kind of view this as like an extended family and friendship type of thing. So we'd love to hear about what movies make you feel comforted or warm and happy or you know, just whatever. So we're glad that you stuck with us and bye-bye.
Bye. Have a good week.